What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Roots and Wings podcast. For those that don't know, we've created this from just a personal journey choice, should we say. We get a lot of questions. We're both obviously heavily into personal development, growing, law of attraction, creating our dream life. Obviously with that comes its challenges, and it's super important to have a solid relationship that is continually growing. And we wanted to set up a podcast where we're sort of talking about that. Today's episode, we're actually doing it from our back garden. And we're going to be talking about why the subject of, the roles of the man and the roles of the woman can potentially trigger people. We're going to be going back and forth. We've got no notes, just sort of going off the cuff, like I said, like a normal conversation. These are sort of conversations that me and my wife have on a day-to-day basis anyway, that we feel like, maybe some people watching this will get value from. What we will ask is that if you do take any value from this, can you please share this on your story modes, get the word out there. That's all we really ask. All right, because I do believe that this is a super important subject that the world needs to hear right now, especially. So I want to ask my wife, on the previous podcast, we talked a little bit about, different things that men do and women do, because men and women want different things. The woman wants love, the man wants respect. And a lot of people can misunderstand, one of the certain points. I believe the point was about sex, about how, and the point, how was it worded?
It was 0.5 being one in the list of 0.5 out of the list of things that a wife should think about with her husband, and 0.5 was having sex sometimes when they don't feel like it.
Right, okay, so because even when I heard that, I felt uncomfortable for the woman, right? But like, I want you to give your perspective on this, on just what's been your journey with that, and how did you feel when you saw that in that book? Because I know you've got that book recommendation from a very high value woman that you're personally mentored by. So like, what's been your journey with that? Just so we can unpack that, because I don't want people to think that we're some weird people that do crazy stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, a lot of, if not all of the information that we've got is from other people. So like Jake just said, the book that I'm reading, and I'm always reading something. I'm always open to a new, different opinion or way of thinking about things, and then you can form your own values and your own how you live your life from that. So the particular point actually came out of this book, and obviously when well, I mean, even now still, when I first read it, I went, hang on a minute, because there are obviously times where you don't want to. So what do you do in that situation? Do you just let them? And obviously you have all these different questions and things like that. But coming from where I'm at now, bearing in mind mid-30s, married for a few years, we're on our own marriage growth journey as well, hence why we want to do this as well, because the podcast started because we naturally just have these conversations anyway. And we thought, do you know what, I think actually probably a lot of couples want to have these conversations, but maybe they're too scared to even bring it up. They're too scared to share actually what they want. They may think, oh, maybe I'm the only one, maybe I shouldn't bring it up. I can't even talk to other couples about it because they're going to think I'm weird. Like if a man said to another man, sometimes I just want to have sex and she doesn't want to have sex, like, is that weird?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good couples out there, like a really good man, a really good woman with amazing intentions, but maybe it's just not working. I think this information actually helps people realise what makes a relationship actually work as well, because you do deserve to be in a good relationship, but maybe you're just unaware of actually what makes a relationship good as well.
Yeah.
But go on.
And also that there are parts of a relationship which are going to be
different,
fundamental, but there are parts that are going to be very different in every relationship. So that's why I think it's important to gain as many different perspectives as possible. And then we're not saying this is the right way, do it this way, But it then gives you that more information to then figure out how you want to live your life. So coming from having been married for a few years, 2 kids, own family, I'm in a very different stage to say when I was 18 years old and maybe I'd still been perhaps in a long-term relationship of like a year or 2 years. But I'm in a very different headspace.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that point now, I'm coming at it from an angle of, okay, first of all, he's written it in a book. So there's a reason why he's making a point about it. He's obviously spoken to thousands, if not millions, of different couples and gained this perspective of the general consensus is that men seem to want sex more than women. So there are probably going to be times that a man wants to, and there definitely will be times where the man wants to and the woman doesn't.
And I want to quickly just say, if the woman clearly doesn't want it and the man still wants it, I think that man is a weirdo. I think that man is a creep. I think that man has issues. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't want it, we're not going to have it, babe. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that, okay, so there's a very what am I trying to say? There's a huge difference, a world apart difference between a woman that is, and I know all the women here can relate to this, where they just feel a bit tired, they can't be asked, and all they want to do actually is just get a good night's sleep. Maybe the kids have kept them up, maybe they've just had a bad day, maybe they just feel a bit fat, maybe it's that time of the month, whatever it is, they just don't want to that day. There's a massive difference between that, but still wanting to show that love to the husband, and they're still in love with the husband, and the husband's a good man. There's a very big difference to that than to a woman who, first of all, just flat out doesn't want to, for whatever reason that may be, and then their husband still forces it.
Right.
That's a vast difference.
And I think that's where people would have potentially got it wrong from the previous podcast. We just touched on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to unpack it.
Or it's a very touchy subject, and obviously.
And there's a fine line. It's an energy thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And because we've been married for just shy of 10 years, our relationship journey is very different to people
together
that are
together for just shy of 10 years, but married for 4.
Oh yeah, sorry. See, even that's my mindset now, though.
Right. Yeah, because spiritually we were, really. You know what I mean?
So, coming from that mindset, we are always looking of ways that we can grow and be better. So I'm even thinking because there are obviously some days where I don't feel like it. In that situation, I'm then questioning, actually, do I not feel like it just because I'm maybe a bit grumpy? But actually, I do genuinely want to show you that love in that moment. But I just need to get my own head. Or am I actually coming from it from a, no, I genuinely don't want to tonight. So, but you're always asking those different questions about it.
And I think it's kind of like, but not like, you know, when men don't want to go to the gym every day, or and women as well, don't want to go to the gym every day, but you got to do it because it's part of, like, if you want to create a successful body, there's certain things that need doing. Mm-hmm. And there's been times when I know that you don't want to do it, but you've actually initiated it.
Mm-hmm. That's a fun thing.
To kind of get it out the way, or maybe in your head, I don't know what, do you know what I mean? But like, you've kind of initiated it because you think, well, he obviously wants, you know, because he's a man, he hits the gym, he works out, you know, you're attractive. Mm-hmm. And Charlie doesn't do any favours, by the way. Well, I'm not going to go into that, but she's just like,
what do you mean?
Just how, like, you're an unconscious combatant, like, just, you know, just, she's so beautiful. But yeah, go on.
But there's also, I'm sure there's women listening to this though, that there's definitely moments where actually, initially, they've maybe got into bed, their partner or husband wants to, you know, get intimate, and they really don't want to, but they've thought, do you know what, tonight I just want to please him and make him happy. And then within that, then they actually get into the energy of it. Like Jake was just saying, when there are so many times where you don't want to go to the gym, but you just get in your car and start driving towards the gym. And then when you actually, once you've done that and you've got out your own head and actually taken the first step, then you find the energy, or the energy finds you, because you've actually gone into that. So there's so many times where actually you don't feel like it. And then when you start, you actually you're even more into it than he is.
And I do think as well, what we've learned on the journey is that as a man, if you are primarily focused on giving pleasure versus receiving pleasure, that again changes the whole dynamic of the intimate journey, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For years, there's a lot of men that are just selfish, out to just receive and not actually make it a priority to give the woman actually pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Take joy in that as well. And that was something which a lot of men need to be honest with themselves about that. Are you excited about pleasing your woman, making it all about her in the bedroom versus all about you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you make that shift, that also changes the dynamic of that. And what happens is, and I found this with you, and you've told me before as well, like you now feel more giving because I'm more giving. It's like, as you sow, so shall you reap, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about so obviously your journey when you were younger is a lot different to now. Why do you think people, when they're a little bit younger, less experienced, get triggered by this subject? What do they think? First of all, obviously, it's because they don't understand the depths of it, like we just mentioned, different stages of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that when you started getting this information, you was also triggered quite a lot, and you actually denied it straight away, didn't you? And you had to reread it. You had to really, because you understand that. Well, let me ask you a question. What is triggered? Where does the trigger come from?
I think because we're, especially young girls, we're brought up to not go out by ourselves, protect our handbags, make sure that we're not dressing provocatively, because if we are, then we're seen to be wanting sex, when actually maybe we just want to wear a short dress or a short skirt. And then there's unfortunately weird men out there that then look at a girl and think, well, she's wearing a short skirt, clearly she's up for it. And unfortunately, there are going to be people out there that fully take advantage of that, and that's where your own awareness needs to come in. But also, it's a maturity thing that changes over time. So if you're a 18 to maybe early 20s, and maybe you are in a longer relationship, or you're just dating, or maybe you're single, it's a very different lifespan to when you're in your 30s and married or beyond. And also, the men are in a very different headspace as well, because often you find that men and women mature at very different rates. And there are, from my own experience, I always felt a lot more mature as an early 20s compared to, I would say, boys that were also at the same age. So there's that perspective as well. But I don't know, it's just, I guess now, because I can only really come from where I'm at now, which is I just want to make our marriage
And we're married
better.
And I think if you're not
marriage
married,
is a big difference.
I do feel if you're not married, you do have to be careful with your perception of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm talking about our marriage. Like, I decided that I'm going to give my entire life and being to Charlie forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decision. And Charlie understands that. And Charlie's decided to give her entire being and soul to me, to me forever.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also there's different levels of marriage, I think, as well, because unfortunately there are people that do get married that maybe at the time they got married believe that they would be together forever, but then obviously the divorce rate is a lot higher and is getting higher, unfortunately, than it was when we were younger.
Do you think that's got to do with there's a lot more temptation in the world with social media? It's become a lot normal to like. Yeah. Do you think a lot of it's to do with that, and obviously people not knowing how to communicate?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. There's certainly a lot more temptation out there, because if you think about when our parents were younger, there was no social media. The internet wasn't even out. I think the internet fully came out when I was probably, like, I'm going to show my age now, like 10 or something. When we had like the full on dial up internet that went do 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 do. So it wasn't even around when our parents were younger. So the only sort of form of cheating or looking at other people would be if you were out somewhere and you physically saw them face to face. And actually, I think in doing that takes perhaps a lot more effort than if you were then maybe just like texting someone behind closed doors. It's a lot easier to just text someone.
I feel like a lot of men feel more insecure because all you got to do is open your phone and you see a man treating his woman so great. He's got this, he's got that, he's got the life, and then his woman maybe looks at it and it makes him feel inadequate, makes him feel like he's not enough. Like even just, last night, you said, I can't wait to go on a private jet. I like that because I'm like, wow, that's a goal now. Now I'm like, right. But what I'm saying is, if I wasn't into personal development, I could have easily dropped into a demotivated, I'm not good enough space then.
Mm-hmm. Whereas actually I'm coming from a perspective of I can't wait to go to a private jet, because then I know where we will all be as a family together.
Of course. But then as a part of it, well, what if it never happens and she's never happy? What if another man can give you that and I can't?
Yeah, but then that's like saying I'm not going to set any goals, because what's the point?
Exactly right. I'm just chucking it out there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because I like that what you said, because I'm like, yes, because like I always want to be striving for more.
Mm-hmm.
Always want to be like we talked about this house before we got this house.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't wait to do this, couldn't wait to do that. It's the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
You saying you can't wait to go on a private jet, it's the same as us saying we couldn't wait to move into this house.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
from where we come from.
Mm-hmm.
Poles apart.
Yeah.
But do you understand the importance of like personal development? Like men, like you have to be reading books, hitting the gym, make sure that you're making as much money as you possibly can every single day, learn as much as you can, because then the insecurities will go away and your woman will see you putting in the effort every day, and that's really all she wants.
Mm-hmm. But I also think from how I grew up, and again from my parents' age, there was a lot more value set on getting married and staying married.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are a lot of people that are in a long-term relationship and aren't married. I can't even talk from that perspective, because from as long as I can remember, all I've wanted to do was have a happy marriage and have a lovely family. But I never saw my life with someone forever but not getting married. That just wasn't, so I can't even talk from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really talking from a marriage perspective, and again, there's a massive difference between if you're in a headspace of being married or in a long-term relationship to being 10 years younger. Even if you are in a long-term relationship, there's a whole 10-year gap there of personal development, of
Failing.
different failing like relationships or dating, and you learn so much over the way, what works, what doesn't work. Maybe you try this, okay, that doesn't work. Maybe you try that does work, and it's just an ongoing progression. But if you're not into personal growth and you're not open enough to constantly ask the question, okay, they've got a different opinion to me, let me just sit with that for a minute, and if it makes me feel uncomfortable, why does it make me feel uncomfortable? Have I got something that triggers me that has happened to me before? Mm-hmm. Something negative maybe that's happened to me that's really got my back up about it. And then, because unfortunately if that does happen, often that's when you totally just dismiss something because it makes you feel that like that.
And I think people need
that
variety.
You just ignore it.
Like, life would be boring if it was all the same. You know, just because this person's into that and this person's into that doesn't mean that we can't be friends, business partners, work together. Like, it's completely separate to different situations, right? So there's that as well. But I think I built a desire for a successful relationship from a different perspective than you. Mine was obviously coming from the back end of, I just assumed my mum and dad were going to be together forever, and because they never argued. And then one day, bang, got called in, was playing out with my friends, me and my sister. Hey Jake, can you get your sister? We'll come home. You know, we've got something to tell you. Come in, not expecting any of it. Mum and dad sat on separate sofas in the living room. I went and sat by my dad. Amy went and sat by my mum. They told us they were getting divorced, and in that moment, at the age I was, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it changed my whole life forever. And I didn't know at the time. Obviously, you never know really at the time what's going on, why is this happening, and how it's going to impact your life further down the line. But I'll never forget, I went to one of my first mentors' house, and he invited me over there. You were there, actually, I think. You were there. And in Indianapolis. I mean, I went there thinking, I can't wait to learn how to make more money. I can't wait to learn how to build a business. I can't wait to learn how to, dream build, all that stuff about the house and the life and the lifestyle. But then I went there and I ended up crying my eyes out, because what was the biggest thing that stood out for me was how long the parents have been together, what the parents had gone through but stayed together. Like, that particular story, their story is incredible. He had to, at one point, she was praying for a new man, thinking that she wanted a new man, but God actually helped him become a new man. And they ended up staying together through this whole thing. And that was the biggest, and they prayed with us, and the food and the whole, that was the biggest inspiration of my life, man. And that's why, like, family and relationships is such a massive topic for me, to be honest. And that's what I'm saying, because Charlie knows all this about me. She knows what I want, what I really want, what I appreciate, and Charlie experiences how I treat her every day. So that question about she lets him do it whenever. There's so many levels to it. It's not a negative thing. It's coming from a perspective that only me and Charlie know.
And you weirdly, well, not weirdly, you literally just read my mind, because I think we've got to the point where we so openly communicate with each other. You know, there's cringy moments where, we're that couple that finishes each other's sentences.
Right.
So what I was just thinking was literally what Jake just said, and that because I know his heart, because I know how kind he is, because I know he's got so much love within him, then I can 100% trust him. So when it does come down to a topic like this, then I always have in my mind, well, he's not going to hurt me. He's never going to physically force me. But there are times where he will want to.
I'm not going to talk about it to anyone. And
I'm not really in the mood. But like I said, there's a very big difference between not being in the mood to being physically forced to do something.
100%.
That's a huge difference.
And like I said, if you're a man and you've got even the vibe that the woman doesn't want it, like the last thing the man wants to feel,
and then you still go, yeah, that's wrong.
He's like a creep.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we've had this conversation many times where it's like, well, let's say that situation happened with us. I'm like, just let me know. Just because as soon as you let me know, because I know as well, because of Charlie's development, because of how much I know Charlie, and how much of a good wife that she is, and the studying and the intention behind everything that you do, and what you want to, I know when Charlie says, babe, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing it tonight, I know it's coming from a genuine place and not from a place of we're getting complacent together.
Right.
We're getting comfortable together. Coming from a place of, nah, it's all right. It's not coming from that place. So whenever she doesn't want to do it, immediately I'm like, boom, respect it.
And actually, that also moves into all areas of your life. So if you don't mean what you say, then that reflects in everything. Like, we were in a situation the other day, going a little bit off topic, where we were in the gym and our son was there and this other little girl was there who was 2 or 3 years older than our son. And she was on all the gym equipment, climbing all up it, and the dad had told her to stop doing it, and she looked at him and just carried on, and he didn't do anything about it. He then carried on working out. And I went, that's the issue, because they then know that you actually don't mean what you say. So if you don't mean what you say in that situation, what else don't you mean what you say in?
Yeah, there was a moment when, this is the first time I should talk about this, by the way. There was a moment when you said, yeah, I wanted to get it done because then I know it's going to get done. And that was like a stab in the heart for me, because of what I'd realised is that there's been times when I've said I'm going to do something and then I don't do it because maybe, it's not because I don't want to do it, it's because maybe something actually else came up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's maybe been really intentional now with, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And like, there was a moment even this week where you said, make sure you get some money out the cash point for, you know, the gardener and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, 100%. So like, I'm on the way home, and you were actually a little bit annoyed that I was a little bit late as well, because that day something just came up that I couldn't help.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving down the drive and I thought, the cash. So I thought this, what's more important? Getting home early so Charlie's happier, but I haven't got the cash. Or getting home a little bit late so Charlie's a little bit annoyed about that, but I think on a deeper level should be happy that I actually showed up with the cash, because I followed through with what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit more late. I didn't say this, but I made sure that I did come complete, because I'd rather come complete than be early or incomplete, because I didn't want to continue to stack things where she thinks, well, I can't trust him with the kids. The seatbelt thing with Dexter, I can't trust him with that. I can't, if I ask Jake to look after this, I don't want to have to. It's almost like she can't really do it. She's going to have to go back and double check all my work, double check that this is done correctly, double check this is done correctly. Because I don't want her to have that. I want her to say, Jake, can you do that? Yes, and she knows it's going to get done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just, but that's just like a whole other subject in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's probably a really good subject, because there will be a level there where actually it starts to then become nagging.
And it's unattractive.
But also there is also a level there where, for like Dexter's car seat, for instance, that needs to be done properly, because
100%.
otherwise he's unsafe.
100%. And again, I wasn't doing it on purpose. It was just like, it was something which I didn't actually understand, like how things.
Well, yeah, it's a knowledge of how it actually works.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely, it's all of that integrity and how you live your life day by day. Everything goes into that question, the number one point that we're talking about today, which is about being triggered. It's about taking things the right way, knowing each other's intentions, knowing each other who you are as a person. I think, because I talked to the other day on my story mode about like toxic masculinity and toxic feminism, and I think a lot of it, the role of the man and the role of the woman, it's actually not in the major things. It is obviously, but it's actually in just the normal day-to-day little comments here, little comments there that chip away at a man's masculinity and makes a man feel da-da-da, and same thing vice versa, you know, as a man, you know, when it comes to a woman.
And also, I mean, the topic of feminism is a whole different topic in itself, because there's, again, a very big difference between, it's been incredible in that it's allowed us to basically be our own people. Like, we're able to go and earn our own money, we're able to walk out the house by ourselves, we're able to drive our own cars, we're able to vote.
Right.
But then there's a whole nother level, which is the whole other end of the scale of, I don't need a man for anything, I can do everything myself, and men are irrelevant. And then men actually then become the lesser sex. It's almost then starting to go the other way. So we need to find a balance in the middle of understanding, actually, and that's where we also wanted to talk about this, the role of a man, role of a woman, from what's actually within our core, who like God actually made us to be. Men have different desires and women have different desires in our actual core. But very quickly, just touching on,
because I do think it is 50-50. I know people say it's not 50-50, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the woman's role is just as important as the man and the. Do you know what I mean? It is. But
from
like
an importance, yeah.
Yeah, from an importance standpoint, like because the man needs the woman needs the man. It's like I don't think like the man's the superior in the situation, to be honest, at all. I really don't. Because the man without the woman, it's not really. Look, this would be a house without you. It's a home because of you. You know, things like that. But yeah.
Well, and so just before we end, like I just wanted to quickly touch on. So, say my perspective from when I was 18, 20. When, bearing in mind, obviously, I always wanted to get married. Because I wasn't married at that point, and also the relationship that I was in at that point, or the men that I was around at that point, there was never that 100% trust there in one, who they were as a man, in one, they follow through with actually their word and what they said, that they wouldn't go out and talk about it, that if I said no, they wouldn't push it and then make you feel guilty about it. So again, we're now talking from our perspective now, where like Jake just said, he knows that if I say no now, I genuinely mean no, and I'm not just saying no regularly for the hell of it,
for selfish reasons.
Yeah,
I'm here to serve you when it's inconvenient for me.
And there are plenty of things that you don't feel like doing that you do for me as well.
I do things, even making this garden furniture up. I've never been that guy.
And also England were playing at the same time. So actually, this is a good story. Obviously, it's slightly different to sex, but
that's probably why I made it, because England were playing, to be fair.
But that actually makes a really good example. So England happened to be playing the exact same time as I was taking the children for their swimming lessons. And the furniture turned up and needed making, because I can't remember why, we were doing something the following day, so it needed to be made at that time. So I wasn't here, England were playing the exact same time, and the furniture needed doing. But Jake didn't feel like doing it, but he knows that if I came back and it wasn't done, then he knows that I know that he's just been sat on the sofa watching the game. But instead of that, he still watched part of the game, but he also made sure that what I wanted doing was done by the time I got home. Now, the difference being was when I was at this swimming lesson, I mentioned this to another man who was also swimming with his child, and he said, "Oh, that won't be done. He'll be watching the game." I'm like, "Oh, okay, interesting."
I never know that. I never knew that.
But my husband, because we have this ongoing, we want to grow together, we have this open communication, he knows that actually it will mean more to me if I come home and it's made. So he totally did something that he really didn't want to do. And also it was this kind of weather, I think I came home and you were sweating away.
But yeah, guys, that's that. Hopefully this has helped. Hopefully this has, for those that were maybe triggered by that situation, put things a little bit more at ease. And you know, just give you something to think about. Like we're saying, we're not saying take it on board, do it, be coachable. We're not saying that. It's a difficult. This subject is so open, and you gather different people's information, and whatever works for you, man. But we're sharing what works for us, and you know, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, when we're talking on a podcast, our views may be completely different again, and that's the whole beauty of life. So, guys, that's been the Root and Wings podcast. Please go ahead and share it, like, subscribe. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.
Bye.